let's look at some ways to improve the quality of our work. The first one maybe we'll look at is this chopstick right here. If we look at it, it's got a very sharp edge, and in real life nothing is completely sharp. So beveling the edges of our work can soften those edges up, so you can see this nice rim light hitting here. These ones have been beveled. This table or this plate has been beveled so the light clicks off of it in a nice like little highlight, but this chopstick is the only one that's left. So I'm gonna go to edit mode, I'm gonna go to bevel, and I'm gonna grab all these edges right here, and I'm gonna go right about here, small little bit, maybe 1.25, and just give it that little bit of an edge right there that the light can hit off of. Okay, so that's number one. You might even go to the back of this thing right here, turn off in this one, go back here, face, bevel, like this, scale it down a bit so that gives it a little bit of roundness right there, so it's not perfectly sharp. Alright, so that just lets you can see how the light hits right here. It's nice. Okay, let's go back here. So the next thing is, if you look at these shadows, they're not looking very nice. So we're gonna go to our render or scene settings right here, and we're going to go to shadows, and we're gonna look at cascade size, and we're gonna raise this. Let's try 248, looks pretty good. Let's see what happens when it's 294. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So you can see here it's not as pixely right now. When it's really low, it gets really ugly, right? And you can even see some lights or some space between the shadows. So by bringing the cascade size up quite high, that fixes all those issues. All right. Another thing that I'm not so happy with is the fact that this background is completely flat. So actually, I don't know if I want to use the sun shader, so I'm going to turn that off, and instead I'm going to use a area light. And an area light, it gives softer shadows, but you can see here it kind of has some nice highlights here. You have a little bit more volume, and it makes it feel a little less flat. Our shadows aren't perfect. Let's see if we can make it a little nicer. Not so great. Yeah. So there is, you can see like the shadows, they look better than if they would be at 512 right here, where you have the pixely. This 4096 is much better, and actually the cube size, by changing that to 496, actually makes it a little nicer too. Although I guess it's little lines, it depends on what you like. But there is one more way. So we've beveled it, and we have added a different type of light. We fixed the shadows, but actually this is really good because it's Eevee, but I would say I might move to cycles. And what you're gonna notice with cycles is that everything is nice and sharp, or softer, sorry. There's gonna be light, the way the light bounces off of each other just looks so much nicer. Cycles though takes a lot longer. So let's compare the two. Eevee right here, and I'm gonna render it out. And this is Eevee right here, and that took 5 seconds to do. All right, and now let's compare to cycles. And slot 2, render. Now it's cycles. And you're gonna see that it's still calculating the time. And it says time remaining could be up to an hour long. And that's why we tend to do things in Eevee, because 1 hour versus like 5 seconds is a big difference, right? There's a little bit of noise going on here, but actually this is looking okay. So I'm just gonna press escape. See, this took about 1 minute 5 seconds, and let's just compare the two. We have these soft shadows, slot 1, that's the Eevee, slot 2 is cycles, just a little bit nicer. Like there's no lines there. We can see small lines, but actually Eevee gets us pretty close, but cycles will just kind of look a little bit nicer. Maybe the last thing right here is my wasabi. And I'll go in here. I'm going to grab this wasabi. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to add something called subdivision surface. And what that does is that makes it so it's no longer low poly. That smooths everything out. And I'm going to go back to Eevee. And you can see, I render this out. It's just smoother, right? So here it's pixely looking, and here it looks nice and smooth. Of course, you can also select this, and you can say shade smooth, but that doesn't affect the contours of it. So just by adding, if you want to, sometimes adding like subdivisions to certain organic modeling, it doesn't work so well on something like the plate, but it does work well on more smooth organic shapes. And you can do it on plates and other things, but that will be another class, another time. All right, so those are some ways to improve our renderer.